in full screen, and I'm starting the recording now.
Okay, excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you everyone for joining this morning's session. I know it's a very early session for most of you, actually for all of us because we're all in the same time zone. Um, so thank you very much for joining. And I see just one people with the camera on, so that's great. And I would definitely encourage everyone just to turn your camera on because I'm going to be asking some questions to you. And it would be great to see like, hey, our hands going up or thumbs going up or something like that. If I can't see that, it's going to be very lonely on this side of the camera. So I really encourage you to do that. So thank you for the thumbs up, Anya. So today we're going to talk about, and Brian, thank you. And today we're going to talk about the path to progress. There's lots of people say that, if you do the same thing, or we stay at the same level, I'm fine. And actually, if you're staying at the same level, you're not doing fine because it takes you effort to stay at the same level. So if you want to make progress, you need to do even more than that. So today we're going to look at what are the things that you need to do to make progress. And what I notice very often is that people have different things going on for them. First thing is that people are stuck inside of their head. They're stuck inside of their head because they feel like, there are so many things going on at the same time. And they just get tangled up in that inside of their head. So they really want to untangle things for themselves. The second thing I see with people is that people are looking for balance in their life. And balance sounds like a very popular term these days. Everybody's looking for balance, but what is balance? What you see very often is people are successful in one area of their life and they focus so much on that side of their life because they're successful already and they forget something else, right? Because there's something else that is important as well, but because they're so successful on this side, they don't spend time there. And it's not a 50-50 thing, right? It is more about being able to spend the time there that you want to spend. So that is how balance looks like for me. The third thing I see very often with people is that they know inside of them that there is so much more that they can do, and it's just not coming out. So they have no way of accessing that. So they are stuck with that feeling again, like, what am I doing? Why is not everybody seeing what the potential that I have? So this is the thing that I'm noticing very often with people. So these are three things that I'm bringing up. Of course, there are much more things, but having worked with people all across the world, I noticed that these three things are coming back very regularly. So if you recognize yourself in this, that's great. If you recognize someone else that you know that is who is facing this as well, that's great as well because you might be able to take away some points here and apply it for yourself or help someone else with that. And what I definitely encourage you to do is to make notes. You will have the presentation afterwards. And to be honest, there's not a lot of text on the presentation. So if you really want to get the most out of this session, you really have to actively engage by making notes and by asking questions because officially we have a Q&A at the end, but you might lose the thought and you might not have the same question anymore at the end of the session. So I definitely encourage you to interrupt me and just ask your question immediately. I see more cameras popping up, so I think they listened to your story, Saskia, saying that they turned from their pajamas to something more presentable for the camera. So that's great. So everybody, let's make this work. So these are the topics for today. It's not a lot I want to talk about. Actually, I can talk for days about these topics. But today we're going to just limit ourselves to looking at what is progress, what is really progress, and why does it really matter? because, why should we care about making progress? And the next thing is that what are the things that are preventing people to make progress? And there are a number of things I will go through with you to help you discover what that is. And then, of course, the most important, once we know what's preventing, we want to know how to overcome that. So those are the things that we're going to be discussing today. So let's hit off with the first thing actually that we have that we can cover here. So the first thing is that what is progress? Now, if you look at your own situation, whether you're in a project or not, if you're in a project situation, your goal is maybe to finish your project on time or to complete the project within the budget that you have, within the cost that you have set for that, or to do it without having a scope creep, right? So those kind of things might be your goal. And progress is anything you do to get closer to your goal, right? So you might not really achieve it because, in my experience as a project manager, I had a few challenges with getting the project done on time or within budget or having no scope creep, right? I had challenges with that. I don't know how that's for you guys. Did you guys experience any of those, like you did your project perfectly on time or not? Some people had perfectly on time. Okay, that's good. um, I, I had problems with that. So for me, it's very important to notice that if you're getting closer to your goal, you're making progress, and that's basically what it is. And lots of people think that progress is like a straight line, right? If your path towards progress is a straight line, and unfortunately, that's not what we see happening in real life. In real life, we see something like this. It's a curvy road that you have to travel. It's a road that is not always that, how to say, uh, nicely. And this road, by the way, it's a curvy road, but it looks rather, uh, how to say, you still have a nice overview of how the path looks like. Um, Unfortunately, lots of people have something like this, right? They don't know how to start making progress. They don't know which turn to take and so on. So they are ending up like, and then we have the first situation again. I mean, the first slide that we saw that people get tangled up in their head, or they finding not enough balance, or they finding that they're not using their potential. So let's look at why progress really matters. Because if you look at progress at itself, now the thing that I'm going to use an example to demonstrate this or to explain this. When I was running a marathon, I've run a few marathons now, and when I was practicing actually for running a marathon, I was really happy if I could run a longer distance, right? So I started with a few kilometers, then I added some more and some more. And every time I did that, I was really happy. And then I told myself, like, hey, this is great, but I would like to run faster. So I started increasing my speed. And every time I was able to increase my speed over a longer period of time, I felt like, hey, this is great. This is what I like, right? I felt happy again. And then I plateaued. I got to a level where I was feeling like, you know what, distance is okay, speed is okay, and I didn't make any more progress, right? I just stayed at the same level. I was plateauing actually at that level. And I noticed that my happiness, I was okay, but I was not feeling great, not feeling excited as I was doing before. And then I started increasing it again. I started increasing the distance, increasing the speed, and I felt happy again. So the bottom line is that progress is really important because it makes us feel happy, right? It makes us feel like we are really enjoying life. The things that we're doing are really making a difference for ourselves. So that's why progress really matters. It makes us happy. And happiness is, I don't know about you guys, but who likes to feel happy? I'm seeing, okay, great. I'm seeing every hand go up, and Hugo is still writing. So I assume Hugo also wants to be happy. Um, great. So that's why progress really matters. But if that's really the case, what is then preventing people from making progress? And maybe this is a nice moment for people to just open up your mic and just shout something. What do you think is preventing people from making progress? I'm sure you have something, guys. So
Always doing what you always did.
always do what you always did. Hugo, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I would say like maybe fear of not achieving it, for instance.
Exactly. That's a great one. Thank you. Yeah. Anyone else? Any other idea?
If your goal is not very clear, can you even enjoy progress? Can you notice progress?
Excellent. Excellent. Beautiful, beautiful inputs. So I really appreciate it. You guys are really into this. So I love that. So what's happening actually, what's preventing people to make progress, and all the things that you're saying is right. It's a limiting belief that they have that they cannot do something, or people will judge them, or they feel like they're not good enough yet. So all of these things are reasons for people what is preventing them from making progress. So they don't really go for it. They say like it's much more comfortable to stay here and don't risk anything that is uncertain for me. So excellent. So, and how to overcome that? Now, how do you overcome that? The best way to overcome that, of course, is to change your belief. Change your belief about how you think about things. Change how you really are perceiving things. Because nothing has a meaning in life apart from the meaning that you give it. So that's really important to remember for yourself, because everything that we're experiencing, whether it's happiness or sadness, we all think it's great or it's not so great because we associate a certain meaning to that. So this is the short version of how to overcome those obstacles. So let's dive in a little bit deeper and look at what those obstacles, how those obstacles look like. So I'm calling it step 1 to step 7. There are like 7 steps in here, and the 7 steps. I'm calling the steps because we are on the path to progress. But in real life, it's not you have to go to step 1 first, and then step 2, and then step 3. I mean these topics that I'll be addressing here. So they are in random order, but just for the sake of this conversation, I will call them step 1 to 7. So step 1, actually, what you see happening is that people very much do things based on willpower, right? And willpower is a great asset. When you find something new to do, you're like, wow, this is exciting, this is great, I'm gonna go for it, I'm so motivated to do this. And people get their willpower and say like, yes, let's go for it, and they start creating progress, and they make a few breakthroughs. And this guy on this picture literally makes a breakthrough, right? But as you can imagine, it takes a lot of force, it takes a lot of energy, and at a certain time it really wears you out, right? And so your energy goes down, you're losing a lot of how to say um, actually you're losing a lot of energy when you're doing this. It's costing you too much effort, and you cannot keep doing that. So instead of doing everything based on willpower, you need something else, because willpower is great to get you started. But to really keep you going for a longer period of time, you need to have a vision, because the willpower is a push. You're pushing, you're pushing, you're pushing. But if you have a vision that's really appealing to you, then you're being attracted to it. And then when you're being attracted, then what you notice is that it's costing you less effort. You will get up early in the morning and work till late in the evening because you're feeling so empowered, you're feeling so energized by that vision, and you will just go for it. So willpower is great to get you started, and it's definitely necessary at times, but the vision is the real force to pull you forward in this in the direction of where you want to go to reach your goal. The second thing that I'm bringing up here is people not being concrete enough. And when I say people not being concrete enough, what I mean here is that people say like, I want to achieve something and I want to make progress, and they are just doing lots of things at the same time, or they just try something and they don't follow through. They just think like things will happen if they are meant to happen, right? And that's not good enough. If you really want to make progress in your life, what you really need to do is to be more goal oriented. Be specific about what you want to achieve, even if it's for a short amount of time. Be as specific as possible. And once you achieve that, once you reach that, then you go to the next thing. Don't jump in from one thing to the other thing all the time. By the way, anyone recognizing this at the moment? Yeah? Okay, excellent. So good to see that, because otherwise it feels like, hey, I'm the only one experiencing this. And by the way, the way I found these things out, yes, because of the interactions I had with many people across the world, but also because I've been through this myself. All these things that I'm describing here, I've been through this emotions experiencing myself. Was that a question? Did I miss something? I saw something popping up, but okay, that was nothing for you. So I experienced these things myself, and that's why I'm much more able to explain them to you in this session. What we also see happening is that people have well, actually, maybe you've experienced this, that you have to you want to achieve something that's really important to you, but you really couldn't follow through because things came in between. And very often what we see happening there is that things come in between because people have no structure in their life. There's no system, there's no organization. And I don't want to call it a complete chaos because, as you're seeing on this slide, it's not a complete chaos, but to find something in this bookstore is going to be a hell of a challenge to do that. So you really want to be aware of like, hey, how am I going about putting in a system in place for myself? And I'm using here a calendar as an example to do some planning. Plan for yourself like what you want to do and when you want to do it, and why that is important to you. Very often people start doing things because they find out like, hey, I have to spend time here again, right? Or somewhere else again. Write down for yourself like what you want to achieve and why you want to achieve it. So it gives you more of an inner drive actually to really get it going, because very often people lose that drive because there's not a strong enough why associated with that. If the why is big enough, then people will most likely follow through. People very often say like, I want to achieve that, and so I need to do these things. So they go to their to-do list. But if you skip the why, the reasons why that is important for you to achieve that, then the to-do list becomes like a tedious job that you have to go through and to make happen for yourself. And I don't know how it's for you guys, but for me, when I had to do my to-do list, it didn't feel that great. It felt like, okay, it's like, okay, I can tick that off, that feels nice. I can tick that off, that feels nice. But at the end of the day, I still had a few items that I didn't finish, right? And I was looking at those items and feeling like, oh my God, tomorrow again, another day. I need to start this once again. And the next day, I was not doing the same thing. I didn't complete those tasks again. So it really was a little bit annoying or frustrating to me not to complete my to-do list. But when I associate the why to the result that I really wanted to create, and then create the actions that go with it, then it's much more compelling to work on those things and find that inner drive. Who here is using a to-do list, by the way? Oh, great. You know, we all do that, and to-do lists are great, but really associate your why with that. If the why is not connected to what you want to create, it's going to remain a tedious job. And in life, I really remind myself, like, if I see this structure that is like, sometimes you put a structure in place and the structure is getting less, and I feel like, oh, I don't really feel like doing anything today. Um, then I remember myself of this one line that I have for myself: if you can't do what you wanted to do or what you need to do what you can do. So sometimes I keep putting off things, and maybe I'll talk in the next slide about more about that. But you keep putting off things, but just remember these things, like, do what you can do. You don't have to do what you need to do or what you wanted to do, but do what you can do. And it makes you feel better in the moment already, because it takes you off of this mode where you are not making progress for yourself. And the more you're on top of your planning, the more progress you will create and the more happy you will feel. Saskia, you had a question.
I'd like to actually add something to that. What I find really helpful if I get too much to do on my to-do list, and I get very frustrated because I can't finish my list, is kind of, it's a mindset shift, is looking at it from a point of view of, I set my priorities aligned to my goal, and I choose therefore not to do certain things.
Yeah.
And that's a whole different feeling from, I don't have enough time and therefore I'm kind of not good enough, I'm failing to do everything that's on my list. Does that make
That makes sense? Yeah. Actually, what you're doing there is you're focusing on the possibilities that are there. And so you keep moving forward, right? And very often people feel overwhelmed by that to-do list and they don't do anything. So they stand still. So if you can change some things around and just see, like, hey, what is it that I can do? Great. So you focus on that part. Yeah, thanks for that. So the next topic is something that I assume that most people will recognize. And that is about procrastination, as I already mentioned. Who has ever procrastinated here? Come on, be honest. Be honest, come on. Leonard, you haven't procrastinated ever? Wow, that's fantastic. I know I've been doing that. Procrastination is so familiar. Saskia mentioned early on in the introduction that I have my YouTube channel, and actually I wanted to record the videos about 2 years before I started doing the videos, right? So I thought about it, and then I came up with lots of excuses why not to do it now, right? I was not good enough in front for the camera. I didn't have the right background. I didn't have the right equipment. I didn't have the time. All these excuses came up, and all those excuses made me not do these things. And then, I think it was, it was in January this year. And I said, like, okay, no more. New Year's resolution. I'm going to do videos. I'm going to record a video each week. That was my resolution. And so that's what I started doing. And now you can see those videos on my YouTube channel. And enjoy from what I'm been sharing there. And some of them are in this presentation, and some of them are not. I think I'm recording almost a video almost every week. So it's a lot of videos there at this moment. But very often we procrastinate because the thing that we want to do is scary for us, or is too big for us, or is unknown to us. And then we procrastinate it because we don't feel comfortable. And whenever we procrastinate something, our mind provides us an alibi not to do it. Right? So it's okay. It's okay. You're totally right. You are too busy. You don't have the resources, right? You don't have the time. And all these things might be true, but it doesn't help you to get closer to your goal, to create the result that you really want to create. So if you're really looking into it, you are going to see that actually you're being fearful of something that is unknown to you, or you really think that somebody else is going to be affected by you leaving out something that is not really important to you because you're doing it for someone else. And this thing that you really want to achieve, so this goal that you're procrastinating on, is not that important. So you will not have to let down other people. Um, and it keeps you inside of your comfort zone. So if you stay inside of your comfort zone, it doesn't really it feels nice for the moment. And it's like going to a warm bath. You know? A comfort zone is like a warm bath. It's really great when you're in there and you don't want to leave it. But if you stay in a warm bath too long, you know what happens. It just destroys your body, right? If you just look at your body, it's like you see all those holes in your body. I know I have that. So don't stay too long in the warm bath. Get out of it and go do something. So um, the only way to overcome procrastination is to look at what you can focus on for that moment. Again, maybe that's also the example that you use, Saskia, is to realize that, hey, what can I do right now? And focus on, if I use the word focusing is to focus on what is going to be the long-term pleasure that I'm going to gain uh, and not the short-term pain that I'm looking at right now. Because if you really want to make progress, you have to overcome that short-term pain. And you're associating pain actually with the thing that you need to do. And if you associate pain to something, then your mind is trying to protect you again, saying like, we're not going to go there, because if I'm exposed to pain, then that means danger. And if I'm exposed to danger for a longer period of time, that might lead to death. So no, we're not going to do that. It sounds quite extreme, but that's how our mind is wired, right? It's trying to protect us. It's trying to protect us from the unknown. Um, so what you need to do is like, what can I do? What can I focus on, which is doable for me right now? And then move on to the next thing, and then to the next thing. So don't eat the whole elephant in one big bite. I'm not eating meat anyway, so don't eat elephants at all, I would say. But if you're gonna eat something big, eat it in small pieces, right? That's much better for yourself, and it's gonna be much better doable for yourself. So don't focus on the short-term pain, but focus on the long-term pleasure, um, because that's how you will overcome the fear that you have from stepping up and doing what you really needed to do. I'm having a silent moment here, just to let it drop a little bit for you guys as well. Inconsistency. Inconsistency is something that plays up a lot. And I'm using the word inconsistency here because there are a lot of things that are asking for our attention, especially in these days. Um, I don't know how you feel, but sometimes I feel like there's so much going on. Let's take project management, for example. At a certain time, I'm an old school project manager. An old school project manager means that I was raised and active very much with the waterfall method, right? And then you had the new project management methods coming up, like agile and scrum, and I don't know all the terms at the moment, but those were very hot and everybody was jumping on top of that, right? This is the newest thing, this is the best thing, and we all need to go that way. It reminds me of a quote that John Wooden used, and John Wooden is an American basketball coach who actually was an American basketball coach. He passed away a while ago. Um, and he had this quote saying that, so John Wooden was a basketball coach and he was really successful. I think he won about 9 or 11 basketball NBA championships, of which I think was 6 or 7 in a row. I think nobody ever broke that record that he created. And what he was saying is that everybody wants to do the new thing and nobody wants to do what works, or only a few wants to do what works, right? So jumping on the new thing is very popular, right? Everybody's jumping on the new thing. And if you see social media exploding with, if something new comes up, people jump on it quite quickly, and that shows a little bit of an inconsistent behavior, right? People don't stick to something that works. I'm sure we have been, and I'm not bashing agile or Scrum or whatever, but before that came around, we used the waterfall method for a long period of time, and it worked, right? It had maybe its limitations, but it worked. Um, you needed to put maybe more effort into it, but it worked. And sometimes we want to do what's easy and not something that works, right? So if you have that awareness, then you really want to apply that awareness as well. So don't get distracted by looking for the new thing or something like that. And also about inconsistency, I like what Bruce Lee said. Bruce Lee was my hero, actually still is my hero when I was a young kid. Everybody knows Bruce Lee? Yes? Okay. Bruce Lee said, I fear not the man who has practiced 1,000 kicks, right? But I fear the man who has practiced one kick 1,000 times, because he knows that, hey, this guy is really good in that. And if he just bang, if he goes, this is not a kick, but I'm just giving this impression. But if he does this, then I know that I'm going to be hurt by this guy. So that's something to think of for yourself. Like, how can you use that for yourself? But to be consistent, you have to have a certain determination, right? You need to be very much focused on, yeah, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to get this done. And I have a strong reason to do this. And be so certain in your actions. So, you know that you're going to follow up. You know that you're going to stick to that goal that you have set for yourself. And the determination is something that's going to help you to get there. And determination is going to be stronger if you have a stronger reason to achieve that goal. Very often there's a huge reward, and reward doesn't have to be money. Could also be something else. The determination will drive you much more to get there. So something to think about for yourself, like, hey, move from inconsistent behavior to more determination and towards your goal that you really want to achieve. We're at step 6 already. Well, perfection is the enemy of execution. And so lots of people get lost in perfection. I sometimes have tendencies as well, right? I want the things to look really perfect. If you look at this picture here, you can see that people, so the person who created this wants to have things looking perfect. It has to be exactly like this, exactly like that, exactly like that. And perfection is actually very hard to, and once you have reached this, if you look at this picture, once you've achieved this, then it's so easy to model this, or to how to say, I don't know, say this, I don't know, my English is sometimes not good enough, but just to model this, just to scramble it or something like that. You want to help me, Saskia?
Say it in Dutch.
Rommelig maken. Er zijn veel manieren om dit rommelig te maken.
Make it messy?
Messy, yeah. To mess this up, it's very easy to mess this up. Thank you, Saskia. Yeah, it's very easy to mess this up. Um, you only have to change one thing, and then it's messed up. And you change something else, and you put it back again, then you change something else, then it's messed up again. So perfection is really an enemy of execution, and perfection is actually the lowest standard that you can have. Very people say like, I have high standards, I want to have things perfect. Otherwise, I will not do it. Well, that's why they don't make progress, right? Because they don't start. If you have perfection as your standard, that's the lowest standard. It's not the highest standard, it's the lowest standard because it prevents you actually from actually starting. You always have a reason not to start. So you really want to look how you can change that. And I said, perfection is the enemy of execution. So taking action is the antidote to that, right? So take action. It doesn't really matter what you do as long as you get started. And if you get started, you will start making progress. You will learn from your actions. You will learn like, hey, this is working and that's not working. And by doing these things, you will get much more progress and you will achieve much more because you are taking action. You're not just sitting behind your desk or wherever and not doing anything. You are learning as you're doing. I always say that people with great plans and a lack of execution, I would rather have someone else who has terrible plans but is executing all the time, right? And is making movement, creating waves. That's really what you want to see happening for yourself. But if you know what you want to create, then you know what the outcome is, you know what the result is, you know what the goal is. You just need to have a point to go towards that place. And you're going to find out, I showed you in the beginning, this curvy road. You're going to find out how to get there while you're doing it. So that's going to be a challenge for people who are driven by perfection, to let go of that belief that it needs to be perfect, and just start. And by the way, if sometimes people really hold on to this, say like, yes, but it really needs to be perfect. So, okay, how do you know when it's perfect, right? Or why don't you do it in steps, right? Why don't you start here and take the next step and then take the next step? Because what you think is perfect now, maybe look at your own life and look at things that you thought were perfect or great like 10 years ago. And now you say, it's okay, right? Maybe I was just reading something, got distracted. But it was a great remark, by the way. I saw a comment passing by. I lost my train of thought. Oh my God. Can anyone tell me what I was saying? You guys are listening as well.
You got distracted by something passing by.
Yeah, but what was I saying before that? Yeah. Anyway, keep taking action anyway, because action is really the antidote to perfection. And you see here, I'm not being perfect here as well. So it's a great demonstration of not being perfect.
That is really great.
Yeah. And change your approach. So if you take action, start doing something. If it doesn't work, change your approach. If that doesn't work, change your approach. If that doesn't work, change your approach. And if that doesn't work, what do you do? Anyone? I only said it 3 times. Exactly.
Change your approach.
Yeah. Change your approach. Exactly. And some people say very often that I tried everything and nothing works. And if people say something like that, I say like, well, you haven't tried everything, because if you would have tried everything, you would have found something that worked, right? So keep going, keep changing your approach. So excellent. We are at step 7. And step 7, is a really important one. Um, People very often just keep pushing through, right? I need to get this done. There's a strong, sorry, very hard deadline. And actually, also with this crisis going on in the world right now, people, let me ask you the question. Have you ever um, uh, been on a road and you were traveling somewhere and you found out for yourself, like, hey, uh, I'm on the wrong road, right? Or I'm driving in the wrong direction, or I missed the exit, right? Um, did you have that? Right? Any of you? Yeah, great. Okay, what did you do? Anyone? What did you do? You can come off mute.
Keep following the GPS.
Sorry, what?
You keep following your GPS, it'll get you there eventually.
Yeah, excellent. I saw the remark of Leonard, and you stop, think, and then find another route. Yeah, great. Yeah. So you actually you think about what you're doing, and then you correct that again, right? And you do something else. In real life, that doesn't happen, right? If you just look at maybe in the projects that you're working, not in your projects, of course, but in other projects or in other situations, what you see happening that people are they chose a certain path and they're traveling on that path and they're just pushing through and they don't take into consideration anymore like hey, there is new information, like there are new insights, there is new data that we can use to uh, to how to say overthink our decision again, right? People, especially when you're in a very high position, I don't know how it's in your situation in your company, but when I was working for the companies I used to work for before, sometimes the leadership would make decisions. People would go like, "Why the hell are they doing this?" And later on, they would find out like, hey, this was a wrong decision. And it would take maybe a few years before they found out this was a wrong decision. And then they turned everything around again. Um, but in the meantime, it costed a lot. Um, so what I'm trying to say is that if you on the road, it's very easy to how to say to see how that works. We correct that immediately. We stop, we think, and we actually what we do. Let me show the next slide. Is we reflect. We reflect like, hey, wait a minute, I was traveling to that place and I'm on the wrong road, or I missed the exit, or I'm traveling in the wrong direction. I need to correct that. In a business situation, that happens very late. So it's very good to take the time to reflect. Think about, hey, what are we doing? What is it really that you want to achieve? And once you know what you really want to achieve, you can think back like, wait a minute, is the method that I'm using to get there, is that the best method? Is it still the best method? Maybe it was the best method 10 years ago or last week, but it's not the best method right now, right? Because we have new information, we have new insights. So we need to change our approach. You want to add something, Saskia?
No,
Oh,
it totally makes sense. I just really like, yeah.
Yeah. So, and very often when you're in a leadership position, we think we provide clarity or consistency or certainty to our people that are working for us in our team by holding on to your position. But sometimes it's just even more powerful just to change your opinion because there is new information and because you have thought things through from a different angle. And now you can go to a different direction. So that's something to really keep in mind if you really want to make progress. Take time to reflect. Don't just think that the solution you thought of before is going to be working forever, right? Or is the best solution forever. Things change over time. So you might want to take that into account. In summary, I'm just gonna skip this slide because it's a summary of everything we discussed in a few minutes ago, actually during the whole presentation. What I do want to close off with is that at the end of the day, this is what it's all about, right? We want to enjoy a kind of fulfillment in life, right? And fulfillment is coming from those little things that help us make progress. It's not having that big car or big house or that huge bank account. It's not those things that make us feel happy. It's what we do with that big house or that big car or that big huge bank account, right? What do we do with those things? The fulfillment can be in little things or could be in big things, but that's what it's really about. We are looking for a kind of fulfillment. You know, they say success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure, right? So while you're achieving success, while you're making progress, you really need to be aware, like, hey, am I still enjoying my life? Am I still enjoying the things that are happening right now? Am I enjoying the things that I have right now? So think of those things while you're making progress for yourself. Be grateful for what you have already and appreciate for what you have already. Because if you're not grateful or appreciating what you have already, you will not appreciate or be grateful things when you have reached your goal. So with having said that, I'd like to close off and say thank you. And yeah, please stay in touch. You can find me on LinkedIn or send me an email.
Thank you so much. We just have 2 minutes left to close and before we close, obviously, to do our lucky draw. I would like to call Hugo out as a winner, and the reason for that, yeah, exactly, and Hugo is very happy to say a word as well. So if you just unmute yourself.
Yeah, sure.
You're already on camera, for which we really enjoyed. So go ahead.
Yes, first of all, thank you for this lucky draw. In fact, I listened to your comments and say, like, open your camera. I'm not a morning guy, so it was kind of really difficult to come this morning. And I'm really happy at the end of this session, not only because of the price, that is really valuable, but also for really the content and the presentation, which is really motivating and really something that is towards the positivism. And what I really liked, it's at the end, the summary is all about project management for me. Project management for me, it's the process of doing something that makes me happy. At the end, of course, when the goal is achieved, I'm also happy. But while doing project management, while doing this, I'm really just enjoying.
Nice, nicely said and nicely connected to.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, really beautiful. Okay, I would like to just thank Deepak for everything, for your insights. We've posted on the chat, so you can quickly get that back as well. Posted on the chat where your YouTube channel is, the PDU codes. I would like to, just on this positive note, this positivism from your presentation, wish everybody a great day. We couldn't have had a better topic to start the day with. Thank you so much.
Enjoy. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.